What's going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning back into this special day full of Mikasa Esukasas and CONVO couches and Kim Iversens. What's going on, Kim? Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah, this is dope. So a lot of people have definitely been, I mean, when I said I was coming to LA, everybody was like, you gotta have Kim, go get Kim, find Kim wherever she is. Well, we found her and she's stopping by and she had a very special interview today too. She sat down with Tulsi as well, and she'll be releasing that interview later on and at the beginning of next week, right?
Yeah, probably sometime at the beginning of next week.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure it's going to be just every bit as fabulous as the last interview she's had. And we just wanted to sit down with you all and talk to you about the general vibe that we got, just the experience as a whole, because I feel like, for the longest time, presidential candidates have kind of been like at not even close to at arm's reach. I feel like they were way up there and the independent media was down here, and we were lucky enough to be able to cover a soundbite, let alone have them in our presence and being able to sit down and have a real conversation without even I wasn't even asked prepared questions. I told them this is where we're going to stay around. They were like, okay, that's cool. And as you can see, in the interview that we asked some tough questions and she didn't dodge a single one of them. So Kim, what was your as a presidential candidate, what was your vibe that you got from her? How did she handle your interview? Do you think she dodged anything? Do you think their questions were were answered well?
Well, we didn't have a whole lot of time, so it was pretty rapid fire. And no, I mean, she definitely didn't dodge any questions. She certainly didn't do any of that. I thought she answered the questions really well. We did a lot of domestic policy talk, because people are talking to her a lot about foreign policy, which of course is a huge part of her platform. So, but we talked about domestic quite a bit and dove into that. And that ended up, before we knew it, kind of ate up the entire interview. And then we were like, oh my gosh, there's only 5 minutes left and we got to dive into foreign policy. And that's just like a huge behemoth to, a huge behemoth to actually undertake. So truthfully, I'm not, I actually just spoke to Tulsi and I'm not sure if we're going to release this interview. Which both her and I felt like it was a bit rushed and there wasn't a whole lot of time because we were spending a lot of time setting up cameras and lights and all of that stuff. And so we're probably going to try to carve out time to sit down together again and have a longer conversation and hash stuff out a little bit more.
Can I say that's peculiar for a presidential candidate? Most of the time, because it's not for those. If you've seen Kim, y'all know Kim is tougher than she needs to be sometimes, and I'm sure that Tulsi, given that, because like I said, we all kind of got to know each other before we went live, and she knows that Kim is not going to ask easy questions. She did not, because we didn't ask easy questions. Kim didn't either. And for her to call her back and say we didn't get to
we didn't go deep enough.
I want you to challenge me is what she's saying. I'm not dodging this. I want this. I want to make sure that people know exactly where I sound.
Yeah. And the thing is that Tulsi is not a lot of the candidates, they're just like soundbite candidates, right? And they're able to just say something and it's like, oh, yeah, everybody cheers, right? They say, oh, I want this, and everybody go, yay. The type of stuff that Tulsi tackles is so complex. The issues are so complex that it is not something you can really tackle and explain away in 10 minutes. There are no sound bites for her ideas. There are no sound bites for her platform. And so it's got to be something that is explained in depth, and there's got to be a bit more conversation. And she knows, on my show in particular, I focus a lot on war and terror. I do a lot of segments on that stuff, and obviously that's a huge part of her platform. And so we weren't really able to get into what I think people are used to hearing from my channel, the depth that I go to with stuff, and the depth that she goes to as a candidate, or at least that I think she would like to go into. A lot of times she gets interviewed and it's like this quick, why did you sit down with Assad? Yeah. Right? And they don't ever really have conversations about the circumstances around it, how it happened, like all of these things. And so I just don't think for my channel and my audience, nor her constituents, I just don't think it was like in depth enough. She did a great job. The interview was fine. It was just fast.
Yeah.
It was just fast.
What did you think of our interview with her? Like, how do you feel like she handled your questions?
I thought she handled the questions perfectly well. I think we had a comment that said that she fudged on Venezuela, which I don't think she did at all. I think she answered it perfectly. She did say that we need to stay off Venezuela, she actually used the words hands off Venezuela, which I don't think any other Congress person and any other presidential candidate themselves have done that, besides maybe Ilhan Omar as a congresswoman. I don't think they have done that. I thought that was very well done. I thought she didn't seem caught off guard by anything. She was very much at ease. She had everything ready to be answered, but it's not like she had memorized lines. It was like she knows the information and she's capable of answering. And I was really happy with her foreign policy, because I'm glad you focused on domestic, because I also felt like we didn't have that much time, and that's due to like a lot of LA traffic. She had to go to several different interviews. And I like the fact that she was able to pretty much answer several things like regarding election integrity, which is a huge issue.
Oh, we got the super chat saying that Fee's microphone is off. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. We're going to get that squared away. In case y'all didn't hear anything she said, I think y'all heard a little bit of it, but
You want to use mine for now?
But yeah, you can. Yeah, you should go ahead. Go ahead. You know, pass that thing over there.
There you go. You just have to get close. Just get close.
Man, how many? This conversation is.
We're getting comfortable.
We're getting comfortable on the couch. Let's not get people
We went
too
from the
excited.
convo couch to the comfy couch. All right. Somebody said Fam's mic isn't working. When you know somebody is a fan of the show,
Yeah,
when they say the Fam's mic isn't working.
Haas
Yeah.
is not here, but he always says fam. He uses the word too much, and people make fun of him for saying it a lot. And it's...
Oh, it's disconnected.
Who disconnected it?
I didn't. Okay.
Oh my gosh! Look at this nonsense.
I did
going
it. I
on
was
here.
sabotaging
Can you help
you.
me?
I know. What?
I wanted
That's-
to be the only one heard today.
Well, that makes sense, Kim. Thank
People
you.
out here disconnecting our mics. Y'all, we got, DNC ghosts coming into the
Probably.
basement.
It was Hillary.
It's female
silence
jealousy,
people.
Nico. That's what it is. Female jealousy.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Between the ages of 18 and 25. Female
I swear,
jealousy.
Well, I'm too old for that. I just had my birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
26 now.
Oh, nice.
Just kidding. I'm not.
How many times have you been 26 in the last
26,
6
15
years?
years over.
Damn, you look great.
Yeah, Kim looks younger than me, shoot. All right.
It should be
we-
14 years.
Apparently, so I'm just want to talk about some of the stuff the super chat said. Okay, wow, a lot of y'all watched that TYT interview. Somebody said they refused to watch TYT. Somebody else said that Jenks smeared her.
He did do that weird question.
Which one?
Right out of the gate, he said, so I heard a rumor that
You're joking.
Steve Bannon likes you.
Oh my!
What
Really?
He said, yeah, he started off saying, I heard I from an anonymous source. I got from an anonymous source that Steve Bannon
Are
likes
you
you.
so
Anonymous.
basically what he's trying to say is
So stupid.
yeah, Anna says Steve Bannon don't like you. Is that what this really happened?
I don't know. It was so
because
weird.
I mean that's where he would, because they've never even said that on the show until Anna said that. And I mean they cover her like what 2 or 3 times. They never said it before, and then Anna does this hit piece and he's like, oh, I heard from an anonymous source in a sarcastic way. You know who the source is. You should have had her ass come on.
Well,
and
it's
ask
also
the question.
public.
I think he was being being facetious.
Yeah,
like, I heard from an
facetious.
anonymous source.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's so crazy.
I don't know. I just, do you feel like that's a valid question to ask?
No,
Like,
I mean, look,
for a
like,
serious interview.
here's the deal. What is the point of having policy and ideas if you're not trying to convince people to like your policy and ideas? And that's got to be people outside of your bubble, right? You've got to convince more than just the people who are on your side of the aisle of your policy and ideas. So it's great if people on the other side, and who cares where they're at on the other side, if they like you for that, then great, you're winning over. Your policy's a win. Your policy's doing well. So it's not a legitimate question to ask somebody, what do you think of somebody liking you and your ideas? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Like, why do they like your ideas so much?
I mean, I 100% agree. I think that's like a silly question because, like I said, so people got upset because I brought up the Armenian genocide and explaining that like the Young Turks, the actual Young Turks, they were the ones who perpetuated the Armenian genocide. I'm like, if we want to play the guilty by association game, then why are you working for an organization called the Young Turks?
Yeah.
And if Jenkins, once he realized what that name actually meant, which I seriously doubt he never knew, I don't believe that. He's like, oh, I got off the song. Okay, so once you realize what that meant to the Armenian people, why wouldn't you change your name? You know what I'm saying? I get why, or even call yourself the Turks.
Or
I don't
address
even-
it.
yeah.
No, they did address it. They did. They technically addressed it.
But Anna
right?
hasn't addressed it.
No, Anna did. She was forced to address it because Playboy did a smear piece on her. That was a legitimate smear piece because it was done by a right wing hack. But like you can't, because you got upset when someone tried to just make you guilty by association,
right?
And you called it a right wing smear piece.
Yeah.
But because you do this, and then you do the same thing to Tulsi that you just hated Playboy doing to you. And I'm not gonna be mad at you for being like, it's your thing, whatever. It is what it is. I probably wouldn't do that if I was Armenian, or like if I was a Jewish person, I wouldn't go work for a group called the Third Reich. I don't care if you named it after a song.
No kidding.
You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you named it after a song, whatever. But it's your choice, whatever. And nobody on the left really had a problem with it. We're like, okay, we know they're not genocidal maniacs. But when you then, in a hypocritical fashion, go after Tulsi by saying, and Steve Bannon and David Duke like her.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me?
Yeah.
What is that supposed? After she went on the debate stage and said, I rebuke everything that they stand for.
Right.
So, in other words, not only are you trying to smear her, but you're clearly you're unresearched. Like, you have not done your own research.
Or you're ignoring the research.
Exactly.
It just doesn't, it's not even a good argument at all. I mean, just to say you're guilty by association when it's like, I don't care why, whatever other ideas these people might have. We're going to say not for it, definitely against them. But they happen to like this one idea that I have that's a good idea. Yeah. And now you're going to say that I can't have that idea because these other people that you don't like anything else about them, they like it. And so therefore, we must be against it because they like it. That whole team mentality is destroying our nation.
It's tribalism.
Well, and it's beyond that. I mean, it's really just this, okay, if you like it and you're on the opposite team, then I must be whatever opposite is you. Like, okay, you pick your side first and then I'll just pick the other side no matter what that other side is.
That's exactly what we saw.
That is destructive.
And it's why the left has such a problem, like, separating their emotions from logic, like speaking out against Trump when he's trying to make peace talks. It's like they don't care that there's actually an attempt to avoid war. They just care about bashing Trump. So they'd rather advocate for more war than actually
isn't
separate
it weird
the two.
how like that whole interview was just so frustrating to watch because she's like, Tulsi is supposedly an anti-regime change, anti-war candidate. And then she like tries to attack her with these various like straw man arguments. But then I'm thinking to myself like, hold on. So your whole thing is being anti-war, anti-regime change, but she's been pushing for Syria. Like Anna herself was pushing for the war in Syria, despite all the information we know about us funding the terrorist group. I learned something new from Tulsi today. Basically, the opposition doesn't even like the opposition that we supply. And I didn't know that because it's not that they agree with Assad. They said, that's not what we're worried about. We're worried about our survival. And we know who's next in line. And it's not going to be a democratically elected leader. And for her to say, oh, I don't like Tulsi supposedly, and she's not progressive supposedly because I don't align with her. I'm like, okay, well, Tulsi's always anti-regime change. You've already told us that you're more than happy to have Maduro ousted. You're more than happy to have Assad ousted. And then you want to criticize the intelligence community. In the same speech, in the same video, she criticized the intelligence community, and then all the justification that the intel community gave to manufacture consent about Syria and Maduro, you then try to use to, well, first of all, you agree with, and then try to say you're going to smear Tulsi because she's not really anti-war. It's like her logic was all over the place. It was so
biased.
That's why it just came off as haterade. It just came off as hateration and holleration and this dancery. Okay, shout out to Mary. But it just, I don't like when we have allies. And I think that after the interviews that have taken place today, if there's any doubt in your mind that Tulsi Gabbard is an ally, well, you need to go watch another interview. I don't know. You need to jump off a damn cliff. I don't know. But if you don't consider, Tulsi came into the independent community without, like, she kind of knew what she was getting into, but she knew the questions were going to be hard because the only reason she chose us was because she knew that we were objective. None of us have been shy about praising her, obviously, because it deserved to be praised, but none of us have been shy at all about critiquing her. None of us. And so with knowing that and her still stepping into the quote unquote lines, then including being brave enough to go on TYT, not knowing what to expect. Didn't know that Jen was going to be the one to interview her. Didn't know what kind of questions she was going to get or what kind of pushback she was going to get, but she did it anyway. Like, that lets you know, like, I will do whatever I can to prove to you that I'm an ally. I'm not just going to talk about it from a pedestal or pontificate from behind a podium at a rally. I'm going to be here with you all, listen to the people that you listen to, talk to the people that you talk to and that you look up to, not just the mainstream media who none of us care about. Like that was very demonstrative of her allyship, not only to the progressive movement, but to the people. Like you said, right? Just because if you're on the right and you're anti-war, which a lot of people who voted Trump were, they considered themselves populist. There's a word for that. Just because we don't agree on 80% of the issues don't mean that we both can't agree on anti-war. Because no matter what, racism, sexism, all that is irrelevant if we're at war and dying and nobody get to be racist and sexist no more. You know?
Yeah.
So, but how do you overall? Okay, you did watch TYT interview, right?
I watched a little bit of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to catch a little bit of everybody's interview, but I was in the car driving and stuff. So I caught a little bit of yours, and I caught a little bit of Jimmy's, and I caught a little bit of TYT. So just little glimpses of each.
Yeah, and I will say this: I didn't like all the questions. Cenk did not speak in any type of way that made me feel like he was attacking her.
Right.
Like
yeah.
it was what he would call himself as being objective. Like at least his tonality was.
Yeah.
Like which is more than we can say about the other interactions that we've seen him when they're talking about Tulsi. So and to his defense, whenever Anna said he wasn't progressive, he said, "No, that's not fair." Like so to his defense, he never said that she wasn't progressive. However. I do think that I've seen him and the other members of TYT push back harder whenever they say something outlandish. Like he would never let them get away with saying that Bernie isn't a progressive because he supported drone strikes. He would flip his lid because that's their cash cow. But I personally believe that a lot of these YouTubers, not just TYT, a lot of these YouTubers see Bernie as their cash cow and Tulsi standing in the way of that. And they picked the wrong team too early and now they're freaking out. I think that's what it is. Instead of being journalists like we were being, how many videos have you done supporting Bernie?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know.
A few.
Yeah, you know? I'm sure like a few. I mean, I try to be fair with all of them.
Exactly.
But, I'm biased. I have a bias, and I don't pretend like I don't. I don't consider myself a journalist. I consider myself a pundit, an opinion pundit. But that being said, even though I am an opinion pundit, I still try to be fair with the facts. Like, even if I'm going to talk about Kamala Harris or Amy Klobuchar or Joe Biden or whoever, I'm not going to take facts that are out of context and only supply one little angle of it and not be fair to the entire candidate. If I don't like him, it's got to be more than that. I can't just pick and choose little slivers and ignore the rest of it and ignore anything that combats that narrative.
Because it goes against your point, too.
We had a lot of videos about Kamala. When do we have to lie about her? When do we have to smear? Her record stands on its face. And you know how we figured out what her record is? We researched it before we talked about it. You can be honest. And like, once again, people, I did, after Tulsi called Assad a dictator and she fell into that trap, I did a long video critiquing her. Not once has she been upset about it. In fact, clearly, obviously, she was here. And she knew that I was going to ask her tough questions. Literally, as we walked downstairs, glimpsing, I said, "Y'all, I'm just letting y'all know I'm going to have to be the bad guy. So sorry in advance." And they laughed it off because when you're on the right side of history and you're speaking from your heart, when you're speaking from being well researched, when you are genuine, then there's no such thing as a tough question. You know what I'm saying? And that's the vibe that I got from her. And it was just very overall, I was really, really impressed. I didn't know what to expect necessarily, even though I'm kind of familiar with her in their campaign, but I didn't know she was going to be this welcoming to the potential challenge of dealing with indie media, because sometimes we can be loose cannons.
We're the toughest. We're the toughest, I think, and it's really going back to what you said about the how everybody was attacking Tulsi. Literally everybody was attacking her in the beginning. It was really popular to do that. People were getting views by sharing the Jacobin article, the Intercept article. All of this was very easy to fall in line and attack her without doing the research. And too many of the independent YouTubers did that. And then there came a point where some of us started dissenting and we started doing research and we were like, no, actually, this isn't true. This narrative doesn't fit. These are old rehashed articles that they're attacking her on. The whole even Modi thing about how she supports right-wing fascists. She was just they liked her. There's nothing she can do by the fact that they like her because she practices Hinduism, same way Steve Bannon likes her. I mean, that's not her fault, but she does speak out against them, and then she also meets with everybody.
Yeah.
So if you only hear one side of the narrative, it's really easy to try to get your popularity, to try to lose your integrity by speaking onto what's popular. And then it's a lot harder to not be a coward and to be brave and actually speak truth.
Literally, she's like, I want to know if your opinion about this. I feel like Tulsi is damn near. Now, she's not consistent to a fault. She is so consistent that you would think she is lying at some point. You're like, okay, you just give me the same answer. Basically, if you're listening, she's give you the same answer. And it's a simple answer. We don't need to go to damn war. That's her answer. Like, unless it is absolutely a threat to national security, we don't need to go to war. And also, we don't need to be unnecessarily involved in being a part of or starting someone else's war. It's really that simple with her. But she even will go ahead and explain to you, like you were saying, how like in depth why she feels that way and the repercussions that history has shown us will happen. Not an if, it's a when, and that's the that's kind of like the deciding factor. Did she talk to you off camera about like anything like about her evolution or anything like that? Did you have anything that was like, okay, wow, like she's a real person, like Bernie's still kind of like to a lot of people, and it's not a bad thing. Like he's kind of like this. I don't want to say omnipotent, but this. How would you describe him? Why would you describe? Like he's there, but he's like untouchable.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like he's not a real person almost.
He's not. It's just like she's very down to earth. She's meeting with grassroots media, independent media. Bernie is almost like now he's in a different realm.
I don't know. I think Bernie would be. I think he's down for independent media and making the rounds. I just don't think he's gotten around to it yet.
And he hasn't got the time to.
It's a different type of campaign.
I think huge. But I think he'll get around to that.
Well, I actually have, and don't get me wrong, Bernie is like a dope guy. So for those of you who are wondering, he is dope. I met him in a private meeting, but his staff, which there's different reasons for that. You definitely want to be careful when you're staff to protect your guy or your woman. They were standoffish. They weren't very welcoming. They were kind of like more robotic than Bernie himself was, or Jane for that matter. But with Tulsi, it was different because she walks up, isn't looking around for approval. Do I know this person? Should I talk to this person? She walks up, open arms, with a big hug, saying thank you before we've even had a chance to sit down.
Accessible is a word.
That's what it is. Yeah. There you go.
And she has a great team. She has a great team. Great team.
The people at the top of her campaign.
Everybody
communicated so well.
Yeah.
The guy who scheduled the interview, shout out to Colin. Fantastic at his response time. Yeah. I can't really say a negative thing about the setting up the interview. Even when there was a time change, we had at least a 24-hour to 48-hour notice, right? Easily. Yeah. And you see, Kim didn't get the FaceTime that Tulsi felt both them and the interview deserve, and she's rescheduling it.
Yeah, we're trying to. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, the interview was fine. For sure, what we did was releasable. There was no issues. Nothing wrong with it at all. It just wasn't depth. There was just it was just kind of like, boom, how do you feel about this? Okay, great, moving on. All right, what about this? What about this? What about this? It was literally like rapid fire with all of these questions, and it was just so much that I think both her and I walked away from it feeling like that could have been like a conversation, and instead it was like rapid fire.
Trying to get too much information.
Yeah, so much in there. Yeah, and that was probably my fault. I think I crammed too many questions in, and I had so much I wanted to go over.
So
it was.
We got it covered. So Jimmy's in the chat. He said he has an open invitation, but Bernie appears to dodge JD's show. But if you supported HRC, Bernie would be on that show. Unfortunate fact of the matter is, he's speaking truth right now.
What?
He's not been.
What?
He has not. Bernie hasn't been on independent media since his last election.
Really?
And he's been avidly avoiding. His people have been ignoring the press requests.
Huh?
Yeah. It's true. I mean, Nina has been on independent media. That's why it's even more frustrating for people because they know how close they are. And Nina has been unafraid at all to go on independent media.
She did a whole thing with Lauren Steiner at the rally.
Yeah. She actually got on independent media and told everybody it's time to get off the Democratic.
I mean, I just don't know how you can't make the rounds on independent media. I feel like you have to as a candidate, no matter who you are, just because a huge chunk of the voting base is in independent media.
Yeah,
we know.
So I mean, that would just be really strange. I feel like Bernie will do it. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to hold out.
It's a different election.
Well, I'm just going to hold on to hope that he hasn't changed because he hasn't ever changed. So why would he change now? And I would say that I think he understands that independent media is really what got him going to begin with.
Yeah.
That was the whole fuel behind his grassroots effort was a lot of the independent media talking about him. So I don't think he'll turn his back
Yeah, I don't think
would
he'll
like to
change.
think
I think
that.
it's just like a bigger campaign. There's so much going on, and I think like he's in a different position. He's like a front runner as far as the Democrats go, as far as what the Democrats think. And I think there's also like a lot. I mean, the man just stopped doing rallies. Like after he hurt his head, he went and did rallies, and he met with the Muslim community, and then he met with workers at the UCLA, the union workers, and then he also went to the airport and met with people there.
I still think he'll do it.
But then,
you have to remember, Trump did it. You know, when Trump was running for president, he was on independent media. Now, it wasn't our kind of independent media.
Koch brothers
right?
indie
But,
media.
well,
Let's just be clear
he was
about
on,
that.
you know, with the real alt-right, right-wing type people,
Yeah.
and he was making the rounds in some ways on those, you know,
But
being
now I will
interviewed by
admit,
them.
Trump is a smarter marketer than Bernie is. I must admit.
I'm still going to hold out hope that Bernie's going to do it.
Yeah, I hope he does too.
Keep hope
I'm
alive.
still
But
holding
I
out.
I like
think
to
he's
play
gonna
the devil's
turn his back.
advocate because I always defend him so furiously.
No, I think look, at this point, for however he did it, I don't know, but Joe Rogan is the Oprah for men. And Joe Rogan is in independent media. And everybody knows if you want to get your, you know, a ton of donations or you want to get the word out, like that is the show to be on.
Especially because Bernie's the reason that Joe Rogan damn near considers himself a socialist. He said it.
Yeah, right,
like,
right.
You know, so
I just feel like, you know, you can't really turn your back on anyone who has huge audiences, and independent media just simply does. So I don't know how, you know, he can turn away from like Joe Rogan and TYT and Jimmy Dore and Kyle Kalinske and us, right?
Of course, yeah. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Especially
But, you know,
he's more than aware of all of our presence.
Yeah,
I know that.
It's just that those shows do command huge audiences that can't be ignored.
Right.
And it would be to your detriment to ignore. The only problem that really independent media brings, I would think, from a media, you know, I'm a professional media broadcaster and had been for years. The difference with independent media that is different than like CNN, MSNBC, or mainstream radio is that we broadcast around the world. So a lot of our viewership is around the world, and they're non-voters. Whereas, you know, FM radio, AM radio, and cable cannot be broadcast outside of the U.S.
How many people? Only like 2% of my entire audience is outside of the U.S. How many is yours?
Yeah, it's about that. It's really like most are in the U.S. When I look at my analytics, the vast majority are in the United States.
That's
like
true,
huge chunks.
but you still like. So the only rebuttal I would have to that was, for one, like, you are not being seen by if you're Bernie, going on CNN does not help you.
Yeah.
The 60-year-olds have made up their mind. You're a socialist. Move on. Get the people who are not engaged in the conversation yet and do what you did last time. That's why people fell in love with you. Like, Tulsi already knows, like, there's only so much I can do to make CNN's audience like me. Like, she should take all the interview, but she does know it. Jimmy got about 500,000. Nico, you know, he can reach this. Kim can reach this amount of people. TYT has this. Like I said, even utilizing TYT, she probably converted an audience.
Yeah.
A large portion
sure.
of them who were otherwise either uneducated or misinformed by saying, you know what, I don't care what question they ask me because I know I'm on the right side of history. I'm not relying on someone else to give me the answers. I'm relying on my experience. I'm relying on. That's like the type of confidence that I love to see in any candidate for anything, but especially a presidential candidate who's, once again, as y'all know, I talk about this on my show all the time. You got to be a good commander in chief too. Like, and to be a commander in chief, like she said in her speech, you have to be willing to say no and stand up to generals, to stand up to Secretary of Defenses and Secretary of States. Like, everybody will lie to you, everybody will deceive you, because everybody has been, all of that staff has been brought up within this military-industrial complex and has been made rich by it, and they have people to answer to as well. And for her to be able to drown out the noise and say, other people are telling me not to go on indie media, I'm sure some consultant somewhere probably told her not to do it. Mm-hmm. And she's probably like, you know what, I'm gonna go do it now.
Exactly.
So before we go, because Fee has to go to her job that pays bills in a second. Kim,
Yep.
This is like your first 2 months on like the super indie media by yourself in front of a camera. How have you liked the experience? Like, because you've grown so fast. It's been incredible to watch. Congratulations on hitting 30,000, by the way.
Thank you.
She reached it probably in record time. She reached 30,000 faster than Jimmy Dore did, for those of you who are curious.
Oh, come on. It's not a competition.
No, but I'm saying, if you want to know where the real is.
Jimmy doesn't have cleavage.
That is also true. What you mean? He has a nice hat though. Like that hat is pretty much the same as his boobs.
That's true.
The glasses?
Yeah,
It's the glasses. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, it's been amazing to see you. You know, it's like your show has been a real testament. Like if you speak your truth, like I said, me and Kim. For those of you who think me and Kim agree we don't agree on everything all the time at all. We talked about this before first phone conversation. We don't agree on everything all the time. Me and Fee don't agree on everything all the time. Like me and Craig's really off a lot of the times until we bring him to the light. And then he comes on here and starts being self-righteous. I've always felt this way about everything. What are you talking about? But for you to have been, be so successful so quickly, talking about, like, you're talking about controversial stuff.
Yeah. I mean, my philosophy has just been to kind of close my eyes and plug my nose and just go for it. When I first went into this, that was the whole philosophy. I didn't pay attention. You were mentioning before, like a lot of people were smearing Tulsi, and it was kind of the in thing to do, I guess, and they were getting a lot of clicks from sharing all of these articles and stuff. And that's actually when I joined in on YouTube, was right at the beginning, and I didn't even know anything about the YouTube world or audiences, or really, I didn't even know how mainstream media was going to talk about Tulsi. I just read a couple of articles and I thought, this kind of seems crazy. And I wanted to do my own research. So I did my own research and came to my own conclusions and had no idea, literally, how anyone would react. And I'm like that with all of my stuff. I've got stuff on there that
I can tell.
Whatever.
You want to be entertained? Go to Kim's Twitter. It's the most bipolar Twitter you've ever seen. Go watch
Twitter is where I just let it go. I hate Twitter because you only get so many characters and you can't really have an argument on Twitter, but I try anyway. And it always fails me because then people call me alt-right or say that I'm like, I don't know. I get called like racist, bigot, alt-right, all kinds of things every single day. Yeah, every day. Just because I do have like Tulsi, and which is why I think I'm so attracted to Tulsi as a candidate and why I liked her stuff, was that I also have very nuanced views. And if you take me at soundbite, I am going to come off sounding like a racist bigot sometimes. Like, that's just how it's going to be. But if you talk to me in depth and really get into the philosophy of what I'm actually trying to say, then you'll actually say, oh, wait, okay, I can kind of understand where you're coming from, and that there is none of that at all. But soundbites, some of my ideas do not sound good in soundbite form, but I do it anyway on Twitter because I can't help myself.
Well, the left has a problem with that.
So that's why I do it on Twitter, just to provoke them half the time. Just because I think it's such a nightmare on that platform.
Fall into the Nico trap, y'all. See? I should have did you see the poll the other day for myself?
Which one was it?
I put, is Nico House a loose cannon? Yes, no, or are you not entertained? Most people put, are you not entertained, which is... But Tim is more so. Kim is definitely more a loose cannon than I am.
I don't mean to be.
It's just important to have nuanced views, and I feel like we lose that with the left. Like especially like the centrists. Like they just like the minute you sound like you're like, well, reparations, we need to explain this. Oh, you're not for reparations, you're a racist. Or we need to kind of have more clarity on this. Oh, well, you what do you want? You support Trump? You're a Trump supporter? Like, it's like right away. It's like these emotional reactions. So like, just literally without logic.
Like, look, I've been guilty of it. I was guilty of it right after Trump won. I was one of those people for a while, because I was just so furious that I let my emotions just kind of get the better of me.
I was furious before he won, so I got that all out. And I was laughing at the whole situation after he won.
But
me and Jill Stein had a good, healthy laugh when we saw the numbers. We were laughing. We were like, oh, please pan to Hillary's face.
I think everybody had like a right to be mad at first and to be a bit reactionary. But like the 2 years of Russiagate, the whole like, how long are you allowed to be reactionary for? You only get so long. And then you got to calm down and come back to earth. Right?
And Tulsi was, of course, once again, by the way, in case you're watching this and you're new, Tulsi's the only presidential candidate who got Russiagate right at all. Not even close. It's there is Tulsi, and everyone else is 500,000 miles away from her when it came to Russiagate. She was saying from the beginning, this does not smell right. We need to let the investigation. While we televising it, she said, remember when it's the same thing when she was talking about immigration. Let's come to the table as adults and just get down to this. I thought it was about the American people. I thought it was actually about security. I thought it was actually about protecting our elections, but it seemed to be none of that. Tulsi realized this really early on. Go look for a tweet of her pushing Russiagate propaganda. Bet you won't find it. But guess what you'll see first? The first and only presidential candidate. No. The first politician who has notoriety that came out, did a video and said, can we move the fuck on, please? Thank you. she said, I advocated for the Mueller defense investigation, which everybody was like, at this point, like, fuck it, whatever, so we can finally prove these people wrong. Right. And Mueller does not like Trump. And Rod Rosenstein, who hired Mueller, also doesn't like Trump. Tulsi gets up, says, I advocated for the investigation to be finished. It's done. There's no collusion. Let's move on and worry about the real problems that we have in this country.
Logical.
And it's so, and people, and then did you see Joanne Reed attack her this morning?
No, I didn't.
Joanne Reed attacked her and said, oh, she's literally stupid. This is what you say when you think you have absolutely no chance of winning. And I was
my gosh.
She said, this was the best part of the logic. She said, how is Tulsi planning to win over the Nunes and Jim Gordon base? I was like, literally, no one has ever made a decision on Nunes and Jim Gordon.
The investigator did his job. We were all, you guys made bobbleheads on this guy, made him into a superhero. He did his job.
That's so true. That's
right?
So true.
He did his job, and the report is back, and there's no collusion. You have to move on. You have no choice.
Like, for the love of God, I'm tired of talking about it. Like, we have to recap this story. So I went a good like 3 months without ever bringing it up because I was so exhausted. Like, for 2 years, every time there was a meaningful, legitimate. Tulsi introduced Stop Arming Terrorism Act. You know what they started talking about? Like the next day or the same day that she did it, it was some other story that dropped about Russia. When she introduced the election justice bill that she just introduced the first time, another Russian story dropped.
Yeah.
Every single time that she would drop something, or Bernie would drop something, or AOC would drop something, somehow, some way, they got connected to Russia. Bernie got his name dragged to the dirt. Jill Stein starts this election justice. She starts like all these lawsuits, wins a couple of them. But when she started them, guess what happened? She just a random photo of her at an environmental conference sitting across from Putin just hits the internet out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, nobody's talking about like Jill Stein getting paper ballots to be mandatory in Pennsylvania because she ran and everybody was telling her not to. This is why they never wanted her to run, because Jill Stein ain't want to be played with. She's very similar to Tulsi in a lot of ways. She's not want to be played with, and she's going to pursue the truth no matter where it leads. So when we're talking about this Russiagate story, it's so frustrating to see some of indie media. We should stop calling it and start calling it activist media. I feel like we should start, because like I feel like when we say indie media, there's some people who actually are not independent, and they. I'm
not an activist. I'm so lazy. No way. I'm not active.
At least she's honest.
I mean, but you're actually trying to control outcomes with facts. Like you can use media as a form of activism.
Bring facts out and
but that's not
draw
what most
your own
people
conclusions,
do.
and I'll draw mine.
We saw one network. I'm not going to say no names. If it sounds like TYT, then that's another thing entirely. But they were reflecting what they thought everybody was talking about. Whereas I know for a fact you're like, nah, that's not right. So let's just talk about truth and exposing the truth. In my opinion, which we've talked about at length, is like that is one of the best forms of activism. And right now, especially, look at how Tulsi literally running her campaign on this. Yeah. Tulsi is indeed an activist. I mean, she was an environmental activist, literally. So, but I mean, she's an activist for anti-war. She's an activist as a politician. You know what she told me today about? Do you know what CFR is? Counselor for Foreign Relations.
Told you I'm lazy.
So CFR is like bad. They're bad. You have to be. It's basically when they decided that they were going to make her president. Before they brought her in, and she was like, yeah, it was like this weird process, and I got like a 5-year term, and there's some really bad people in there that don't agree with me, and there's a few, very few, that do. Most of them don't, but I'm not gonna run away. I'm gonna get them to convert. I'm going to
How else are you supposed to get your ideas? If we just stay inside of our echo chamber, I don't understand this logic of stick to talking your own, and if you dare deviate out of that, all of a sudden you're the enemy. And it's like, what are we trying to accomplish here? Are we not trying to have conversations with people that we're trying to get to go onto our side? And so that means you have to go to the other side. You have to listen, in order to convert them.
I don't want her, like, she doesn't take corporate money, okay? One. The entire establishment hates her from both sides. AIPAC came out against her and other Israeli lobbies. Saudi Arabia came out against her and all their lobby.
They would, of course, because those are all real military. I mean, they buy a lot of weapons. They get a lot. Both of those nations get a lot of weapons.
But seems to be Progressive's main argument is, she's not really anti-war. Then why is the entire military-industrial complex coming at her neck right now?
Yeah.
It makes no
logical sense. I don't actually call her anti-war. I think she's anti-regime change war.
Well, I think that most people who are anti-war mean it in like nobody. I feel like nobody's anti-war to the degree like
you can't be anti-war or
situation.
You're a pacifist, and we don't want a pacifist in the Oval Office.
I don't mind having a pacifist in the Oval
Office.
I
don't want a pacifist.
I don't mind having a pacifist.
I don't mind.
No, I don't want a pacifist.
Because a pacifist, because I think that actually, funny enough, I think Tulsi does consider herself a pacifist, which is why she became a medic instead of any other type of military. And she's not like, I'm the same way. So as a veteran, I'm not quote unquote anti-war no matter what, like come, take my money and pillage my women. Like I'm not about that. I am like Tulsi. I know that for the last 100 years, intelligence agencies have manufactured consent for false wars, literally including World War I, South Africa, like it goes back that far. And it was all because of economic interests. England was pissed off. Great Britain was pissed off that Germany and Russia were out industrializing them. Our monetary interests were pissed off because we weren't part of it in Great Britain. So like from that very moment for the last 100 years, we've been lied to. So I don't think it's bad to say you're anti-war. It's like I'm anti-war until proven otherwise. Like I'm not saying, and I get the same feeling for her. I don't think it's a misnomer to call her anti-war. I think I'm anti-war till you give me a damn good reason. And right now y'all have not given me one for 100 years. So.
It should be your last resort, right? Yeah. I mean, war should be your last option. Yeah. But to me, it's still an option. I mean, if I were commander-in-chief, it's an option. It's on the table. It's always on the table. But not unnecessarily and not for, for whatever reasons, some crazy reasons. I mean, it's got to be a legitimate
Some crazy old white rich man came up with. That's basically what. Like this thing with Golan Heights. Yeah. People not want to talk about the fact that Golan Heights is owned by Genie Energy, and Genie Energy sitting on the board is like Dick Cheney, the former director of the CIA, Jacob Rothschild, like Trump's one of his chief strategists in his administration is the president. And they were the ones who discovered the literally billions of barrels worth of oil in Golan Heights. So basically what they're doing is saying, test us, go after Israel in Golan Heights, and we'll have a real reason now to send our entire troops into Syria. Like, and that's what they're going to try to do. That's what they're trying to do. But once again, for those of you who are curious, I don't know why people keep trying to say she's controlled by AIPAC. Am I crazy? Hasn't Tulsi been literally smacking down Bibi for like the last 2 or 3 months straight, like once a week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't understand where they're getting that from.
I don't know. I don't have you. What do you deal with on Twitter? I'm like out of curiosity.
What do I do?
What do you deal with on Twitter? What rumor have you heard about Tulsi on Twitter? Well, I don't know. You got a lot of your subscribers from.
I feel like I'm like battling mobs left and right on Twitter about a variety of things, let alone combating rumors. I don't have time for this. I feel like I'm being attacked on Twitter. They come after me with their
She's like, I don't understand why I'm being attacked. I just literally say stuff to piss people off, and then they respond. I can't imagine. Why don't they just let me do my job?
That's what Twitter's for.
That's such oh my goodness.
Twitter is for just pissing people off.
Aries is like, I just wish I could stop arguing with people all the time. And then heck yeah, I believe in astrology. In India, fun fact, you can get paid a lot of money to be an astrologer. Yeah. Their governments use it, and you can get a scholarship and a 4-year degree and eventually a doctorate.
Well, I'm Asian, and so it was like naturally a part of my family, my upbringing.
Oh my God. That's
sexist. Like sexist. Since I was a baby, my mom was always very like, because I'm a metal monkey and I'm an Aries. And so she was always
I'm an Earth dragon.
really, really big into that. Yeah, so.
It's the dopest zodiac sign, by the way. Oh, you're a monkey? That makes a lot of sense.
I'm a monkey.
That's why we get along so well.
A metal monkey.
You're a monkey Aries. That makes so much sense. We get along so well, y'all.
I'm a snake.
We agree.
You're a snake. That makes sense. That's why unplug that microphone.
She is. Johnny, what are you? What's our super producer?
He's
Capricorn.
And a dog. You're a dog on Chinese. Yeah.
Oh, a dog.
Yo, the year of the dog sucks.
I love it.
No, dog is a good one. Dogs
the year of the dog is literally like that was 2018.
No, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
It literally meant to break you down.
No. So the year of the dog, hardworking, loyal.
Yeah. No, the dog itself is great.
No,
not the year of the dog.
Yes, the year. I'm talking about the year of the dog. I'm not talking about the dogs too. Actual dogs. It's like an actual dog. Everybody loves a dog.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Johnny, but I don't
being
mean
a doggist. I don't know what this is. Yeah. Like, what is it when you're an anti-dog?
Yeah.
Doggist.
You
have 4 cats, don't you?
I have 4 cats and a dog.
Wow. See, that explains it.
Oh my! I love my dog.
See,
is like a cat,
I'm diplomatic. I have a cat and a dog.
Look, I rescued them because I love
But you only rescue cats, you see?
I rescued my dog.
Dogist.
And he acts like a cat. It's not my fault.
Well, because you put cat face on him.
You're a cat, Nico. If you were,
you got him walking. What do you call him?
My name means cat in Japanese.
He's got whiskers. Oh, dogs have whiskers naturally, right?
Do they? Yeah, they do. Wow.
You make him wear a cat mask, and you're like, "What's your name, Kitty?"
No, I do ask him why he's acting like a cat though. Like he jumps on the arm of if the arm right there, he sits up like a cat. He's half German Shepherd, half Rottweiler. It doesn't make any sense. He's embarrassing. He jumps on picnic tables when he's being chased by dogs, and then the dogs stare at me. They stare at the owner, and I'm looking embarrassed because my damn dog is on top of a picnic table like a cat.
Well, it's because you trained him to be like a cat.
I didn't train him at his older brother.
He's just trying to be loved by you, and he knows what's going to get the love.
He gives hugs. He actually prays before he eats.
Only when he's a cat.
So, with that being said, your dog sucks. And anyway, with that,
wow, it's a great year.
People, why is there still 1.4 thousand people watching this conversation right now? Y'all just like here talking.
It's gone down to the gutter, guys.
I know, right? Jesus Christ! Look, everybody's Moon, Scorpio, Metal, Goat, Gemini, Earth, Snake. How many people are into zodiacs on this?
Apparently, everybody.
Subscribe. Yeah. We'll start doing weekly zodiac predictions.
I actually do readings.
Oh,
yeah, I do like legitimate readings, and I use a variety of different, because like I grew up with it, and I've always done readings for people ever since I was really young. And people always, my friends, because my readings are so accurate, like they're creepy, that my friends are always telling me that I should do a podcast or a radio show just doing readings for people.
Wow.
And I've thought about it, but then I would be that like kind of a crazy person, right? Like I'd be painted as that wacko person.
Anti-vaxxer.
Yeah, something like weird, but this stuff's legit.
I'll ask people about their zodiacs, their Chinese and their American zodiacs, and then their rising moon zodiacs. I'm like, oh, you do this, and they're like, how did you know all that? I'm like, yo, it's really easy. If you really just read zodiac signs, you can tell a person like that.
I do a different system that's really, really detailed. Really, really detailed.
Oh, I got time for it. See, I'm lazy when it comes to that type of stuff. If I can rely on my intuition, like I just like.
I was at a point in college, I was like the party trick where they would bring me to a party and they would have me, my friends, they thought it was so fun that they would have me talk to a person for 10 minutes and guess their sign. And
I do that too.
To get it right.
Wow.
With like a 95% accuracy.
See, like we're like,
how did you do
me
that?
and Kim agree on like two things.
That's it.
Zodiacs and
Tulsi. That's all.
Hey, that's important. That's important.
That's important. Yeah, the Tulsi part is really important. So, final thing. Sometimes somebody said, now Kim is a stereotype.
I mean,
the Asian woman who does. The only thing let me see your nails.
No, my nails are terrible. It was funny.
So she's Vietnamese with terrible nails, so not every
really,
stereotype
really
applies.
No, actually, Vietnamese usually have bad nails because we're busy doing everybody else's.
So you are fitting the stereotype is what you're telling us.
I'm going to be called racist.
Can you be racist? Yeah, you can be racist.
Yeah, we discussed this yesterday.
What? That you could be racist against your own kind?
No, we didn't say that. No, Jesse Lee Peterson and Candace Owens are a thing. So like we know that.
You can be you can be racist.
Candace Owens and Jesse Lee Peterson, you know they are.
A person of color.
I know who she
is.
They
both like hate the black people.
Yeah.
I don't
Jesse
know.
Lee Peterson is like mental. He's a whole different type.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Oh, I'll sing you some clips.
Okay.
I'll sing.
I don't watch any of them enough.
You might think you would think it's a satire. You would think it's a skit, and it's not. With him.
I just don't know if I believe a lot of the things people say. So I'm not going to believe you until I see it for myself.
Man,
that's fair point.
Y'all better let Kim know on this channel. How much we be batting? We batting 1,000 since 2016. Let her know. We don't get it wrong. Sometimes we may be a little bit off in our timing.
I'm going to leave you with him.
Great.
Oh, yeah. So real quick. Presidential or non-presidential?
Tulsi, all the way.
Very.
All the way.
Do you agree with the whole automatic relegation to her being VP to Bernie?
I think I like that she is going to be hesitant. Off the record, she told us she's going to decide when she knows more information, and she's willing to, as long as she's an avid and has a lot of responsibilities, as long as she's capable of leading, the control of leading the conversation, then I honestly think she'd be great as a Secretary of State just because of her foreign policy. But I also think that we do need someone in case anything happens to Bernie that can actually be presidential and carry everything over, which is very hard to find someone else.
Because if she's Secretary of State, the VP could stonewall her.
Right.
Like bad.
Right.
What do you think? Presidential?
Yes, very, very, very presidential.
Wow.
Very much.
Very.
Yeah. She's very commanding, like, and not in a negative way. I'm not saying commanding like she's it's like she's got a commanding presence. She walks into a room and you feel like this is somebody you got to take seriously. Yeah. And that's compared to who we've got right now.
Calm, relaxed, logical.
Yeah. We would like somebody who the world could take seriously.
Look, if I told y'all everything I felt about that entire experience, y'all would think that I was like, Nico, you're in love with Tulsi. I probably am. Who knows? Maybe I am. Maybe it's just what just happened. And literally everybody else in the room fell in love with her at the same time. Like, good God, this woman, and it wasn't for the reason you may think. It's just the presence to her. She just has this realness about her. Yeah. And I was asking her questions, obviously off camera. We were very straightforward, and we didn't feel like we even had to pull any punches when we were asking questions. Like, yo, everybody's been curious about this. What do you think about this? She answered. Like Fee just told you. She was very straight up. She's like, oh, I'm not taking any position. I'm not having an influence on policies. Mm-hmm. She doesn't care about the title. Like, that's what's weird to me. Like, she doesn't care. But it's not weird, but she's consistent. If this is whoever you think, you're like, oh, what if she's tricking us? She ain't tricking you. This is her. More than what you may even think. So, she's at 100% an ally. She's presidential. I wouldn't mind her being VP. I wouldn't mind her being Secretary of State because I know she's going to have a huge part in choosing what she wants to be, and I trust her judgment in that regard. But I have not made my decision on who I'm voting for. I'm not guaranteed to vote for Bernie. And if I thought I was going to be guaranteed to vote for Bernie after that interview, I'm really not guaranteed to vote for Bernie because objectively speaking, you heard about the election justice stuff. You heard about the introducing legislation to stop arming terrorism. She's the only one who's come out and said, we are giving Al-Qaeda weapons. We are funding them. She's the only one to call intelligence communities. She's the only one to meet with independents. Yo, we got some choices to make, y'all. But hey, before we do that, always remember, find your balance. Peace.